What's going on, San Antonio? What's going on, all of South Texas, and to all you Spurs fans out there? My name is Mike Jimenez. This is the Area 210 podcast coming at you. My name is Mike Jimenez. Joe Garcia producing today's show. Joe, we hit a milestone yesterday, my man, and I'm super excited. Just posted on Twitter that yesterday's show was our most viewed show ever in the 2 years we've been doing this podcast. More than 1,000 views on YouTube, Joe. At one point yesterday, we had 140 people watching simultaneously. We knew it was going to be a big show because the Spurs won the lottery, got to number 2 in the draft. We talked a lot about Dylan Harper. Our good friend James Pledger from San Antonio Sports Star was also part of the show as well. So thank you, Pledge, for that as well. Joe, this is all you, baby. Congratulations to you, my man.
Yeah, congratulations to us and the viewers. And then they're ones that are making the show grow and keep on supporting what we do. So we appreciate everybody, and the super chats were coming in heavy yesterday too. So appreciate that because I'm about to go ahead and buy some new equipment. I'm actually going to order that today. So I'm going to get you a new toy to play with over there on the table when you're here. It's going to have some macro buttons. It's just a programmable button. So it's going to be really fun when you push it. You're going to have some sound effects. I'll have some here as well. Much like DJ LG does his sound, his little drops, little sound drops. We'll be able to do that. I'll put some over there for you on the table. I'll be doing that here. We're also going to do some new videos we're going to work on the weekend. We have the chancla throw-in that everybody loves so much. We got to add some new stuff. We got to go ahead and revamp the grito. We got to do something new now. So we're working on it on the weekend.
We got to do something. More than 1,000 views yesterday. When you and I left the show, typically what ends up happening is that the number of people who watch the show equals the number of people who watch it later. Okay, so we do this show Monday through Friday. For those of you who are new to the show, Monday through Friday, 10 to 11:30. Basically, when it goes dark local, when it comes to local sports talk radio, Sports Star, Ticket 760, they go to national radio at that time. So we jump in from 10 to 11:30. We talk about sports, pop culture, Nesio things, we just have fun, right? But the thing is that usually we see the number that have watched, we multiply it by 2, and that's ultimately the number that we're going to have. Now, there are some people who watch it on Spotify, some people who watch it on Facebook, some people who watch it on Twitter. Those numbers don't get added into the YouTube mix. We want it to be on YouTube because it's easier for us to maintain control and we get demographics off of it so that we can advertise off of it. The thing about it is this, Joe. The number of people who watched the show after we got off the air at 11:30 yesterday was 3 times the number of people who watched it live. That means people were sharing it. That means people were stumbling upon it on YouTube. That means people were coming back to the fold. It was amazing, dude. Amazing. And very, very exciting.
Yeah, it was exciting. Exciting times, man. Good things are going to be happening. Another thing that we're going to be adding here shortly, probably within the next couple weeks here, is a new way to kind of interact with everybody. We're going to bring back the spinning wheel to do some giveaways and stuff. But more importantly, we're going to go ahead and have multi-level marketing. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and have like a way to go ahead and reach out to all our subscribers and our viewers, our most loyal here, by text message. So we're going to do some fun things with that. We're going to have polls now as we're doing the show. We're going to be able to show your comments coming in real time as well via text message. We're going to be able to give you some new merch offerings and maybe some giveaways via text message now. Just a bunch of fun stuff coming up. We're going to be talking with some potential sponsors as well. So got a lot of things happening for the show.
I'm calling my shot as well when it comes to it all because we had a draft party last year, and it was very successful over at Pete's place. I think we got to do it again. Joe, I know you have to work and whatnot.
Yeah, I do.
But I can do that. I can make it happen. Chica can go out there, and we could throw a party for the listeners and subscribers of our show.
How about not some giveaways? We have like 2 tablets. We have 2 $100, what do you call it, gift cards. A slew of other things. I mean, we can give out some stuff over there at the watch party. Why not?
We can make it happen. But what's on the docket today, we're going to talk more about the Spurs in the draft because what happens if the Spurs don't go for Dylan Harper? What if the Spurs trade back? What happens if the Spurs look for a different player and then do decide to draft for the need? Dylan Harper, by far, is the second best prospect in this draft, right? Cooper Flagg, number 1. 1A is Dylan Harper, but behind there is his teammate Ace Bailey. And a lot of people reached out to me on Twitter over the past 24 hours and asked the question, well, why not draft for the positional need that the Spurs have, which is we need a 3, we need a 4. We need somebody who could play that instead of a combo guard, a combo forward type of player. We also had some video of Dylan Harper from the combine that we'll show in a minute. Dylan Harper shooting
Do
threes.
we have to?
Okay, first of all, Stephon Castle was not a good 3-point shooter in college. He shot like 26%, and in the pros shot 30, right? So
well, neither was Sohan either, man. Come on.
Well, Sohan was never a shooter.
Yeah, no.
But the thing is that Dylan Harper shot a little bit more better than 33% as a college player. We're hoping that he gets to 35, 36%. I was looking at his form. I watched a lot of Rutgers games because I knew Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper were playing. And I watched a good number of Rutgers games over the past few months. And I never really saw Dylan Harper's shot the way that it looked like at the combine because it was an ugly-looking shot. Now, it wasn't Sohan ugly. It did not have a hitch to it. I don't know if he's working on something new, but we'll show you video of that in a minute. We'll also talk about the fact that a lifetime ban isn't always a lifetime ban because Pete Rose can enter the Hall of Fame in a few years because of what happened yesterday. Big announcement with Major League Baseball. Not only Pete Rose, but if you're a fan of the movie Field of Dreams, Shoeless Joe Jackson, the movie 8 Men Out about Shoeless Joe Jackson, the 1921 White Sox scandal, the Black Sox scandal? Yeah. He was also now eligible for the Hall of Fame. We'll get into that and why that all happened.
Hey, I was going to tell you something too, man, and maybe we'll have this as a topic of discussion sometime during the show. Mm-hmm. Should the NBA consider shortening its season? We've seen some high-level players here go down with injury, early on in the playoffs, 82-game season. And you see the turmoil that it causes when you have your best players go out due to injury. Case in point, Jason Tatum, man, the other day just went down, torn Achilles, had a surgery early yesterday, and hopefully we're wishing him nothing but a speedy recovery. But you hate to see your star players go down like that. But 82 games, I think, is a lot. And then the NBA goes on to go ahead and fine said teams when they do load management to try to rest said players. So you're at a conundrum right here. What do you do? It's just a topic of discussion. Maybe we have time, we can bring it up. But should the NBA shorten its season?
That's a great conversation piece. We'll most definitely get into that. We'll also talk about the fact that the Dallas Cowboys, obviously they play on Thanksgiving. That's what America's team does, right? And by the way, I'm a big believer that if they don't win the Super Bowl this year, we need to take away America's team because you can't go 30 years without a Super Bowl and be called America's team. Sorry, those are the rules that I'm creating.
America's team.
But America's team is going to be playing on Thanksgiving against Kansas City Chiefs and the
You're taking the over-under.
I'm taking the L for the Cowboys when it comes to that. So we'll talk about that and how the NFL kind of drips on us when it comes to certain things, and that's fantastic. But
there it is, man. Cowboys and Chiefs, Thanksgiving Day.
Well, you know what? Let's talk about this a little bit, man, because I saw an article talking about the strength of schedule for the upcoming season in the NFL. Do you know who has the hardest schedule in the league?
Cowboy.
Actually, the New York Giants do.
Oh, who cares about the Giants, bro?
The New York Giants. So I'm looking at it right now. This is according to Yahoo Sports, and this is based on last year's teams, right? What was the winning percentage if you take all 17 opponents and you take their winning percentage from last year? The Giants are taking on teams that had a combined winning percentage of .574. The second hardest is the Bears. The third hardest is the Lions. Then comes the Eagles. And with the fifth hardest schedule, Joe, in the NFL, your Dallas Cowboys. So the Cowboys, who were 7-10 last year, big old injuries to Dak Prescott and whatnot, now have to come in and have the fifth hardest schedule. And part of that schedule is against Patrick Mahomes on Thanksgiving Day, when the Cowboys will lose by 30 to Kansas City.
Who do you trust more, Patrick Mahomes or Dakota Rain Prescott?
The one that's going into the Hall of Fame, the one that's been to the Super Bowl, the one that's won Super Bowls, the one that's won MVPs. Give me the Kansas City Chiefs. By the way, the easiest schedules in the NFL this year. Easiest schedule, San Francisco 49ers.
And look, 49ers says, let's go Niners.
49ers, easiest schedule. I have a little bit of an echo. And then goes the Saints, and then the New England Patriots.
You still got an echo there?
Yeah, it looks like it's cameras.
Maybe that'll get better for you.
There you go. So yeah, the easiest schedule goes to the Niners, the Saints, the Patriots, the Titans, followed by the Carolina Panthers and Arizona Cardinals. So the NFL, what I like about the NFL, man, they want to be part of center stage at all times. They want to get in front of people every single day, and they did that, man, by just releasing a little bit. We're going to release who they're playing, and then the next week, well, Thanksgiving is going to be Cowboys against the Chiefs. So they keep making these moves as time goes on. We'll be getting more and more. And Joe, where did you go? You're off camera.
Oh, shit. All sorts of weirdness is happening now. Hold on.
Got some gremlins out there, baby. Gremlins. And while you're looking into that, I want to say good morning to those who are in the chat, which is powered by MCS General Contracting. Again, they have that diamond hard concrete. Sam Salinas was first in line today, followed by Albert Lopez, Matt Gomez, July 26, Roy Spernandez, 1234 United States Marine Corps, retired there in San Diego, California. Tony Ornelas, up I-35, Mexican Jr., I believe is in Dallas. Hooper Flash, JHNSB, a lot of the regulars out here.
Tony Ornelas, man.
And thank you so much, by the way, for those of you who were nice and welcoming to the new listeners yesterday, because I know Sam Salinas was out there saying, "Hey, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the chat. We'll be nice to you."
Welcome to the Necios.
Speaking of Necios, this is something that I might have to go with kid gloves on, but a 58-year-old woman is going to be in the SI swimsuit calendar, fair or foul.
Fair, man. How hot is she?
That person is Salma Hayek, by the way. Salma Hayek released photos of her swimsuit edition photos for, I believe it's Sports Illustrated.
What's wrong with Salma, dude? What's wrong with her, dude? She's still a nugget, bro. Come on.
She was amazing in 1997,
dude. She's still amazing. If you walk in with Salma on your arm, she'll probably be the hottest girl in that bar, bro.
From the neck down, yeah.
Oh, come on, Mike. No. You're smoking. You on that BBD this morning, bro. You on that BBD, bro.
So we'll get into that as well. But let's talk some Spurs a little bit, man, because you have the hat on right now. Spurs winning the lottery a couple of nights ago. Again, winning the lottery is moving up, okay? I know the ultimate winning, the big prize was the number one pick in the draft. Dallas going to get that pick, going to pick Cooper Flagg. A lot of questions out there because Cooper Flagg obviously was not happy when it all went down. He looked disturbed by it all. He was not excited. Maybe that's his demeanor. I don't know. But everyone was looking at that and have been asking the question, what if he decides that he doesn't want to go to Dallas? Does he have that power, that ability to do so? We saw Shadir Sanders, who fell to the 5th round of the NFL draft, tell certain teams, don't draft me. I don't want to be with you guys. And you've seen in the past in the NFL, Eli Manning did that when it came to not wanting to go to San Diego. In the
forced
NBA,
his way out.
Forced his way out. Ultimately got the Saints the Super Bowl because Drew Brees ended up eventually making his way to New Orleans. But you take a look at what you have going on with with Cooper Flagg. Last year, Alex Sarr didn't want to go to certain teams. He didn't want to go to Atlanta. And he told Atlanta, don't want to go there. So Atlanta took Zachary Reese-Darcey.
Don't draft me.
Right? But Zachary Reese-Darcey and Alex Sarr were both projects. Yeah. Along with Stephon Castle. Said they were ready to play in the NBA.
No, Castle wasn't a project. He came NBA ready.
No. All three players, Sarr, Reese-Darcey, and Castle, were NBA ready to play minutes. But they weren't ready to be stars.
Polished.
It took a while. They weren't polished at all. By the way, real fast, I mentioned that we had over 1,000 subscribers. Do you know what show had the most subscribers? I mean, the most viewers prior to yesterday's show?
Was it Taylor?
No. It was the day that Wemby blocked Chet Holmgren to win that game stole his soul against Oklahoma City. And all the Spurs fans were fired up. That was in January of
Yeah.
2024. That was the biggest show that we had ever had. So I found that to be funny.
You
But
know what? We're gonna have another biggest show because I bet you anything, if the Spurs go into the playoffs next year, Mike, we're gonna do a live stream where we're gonna round up the crew and we're gonna go honking down Commerce, and there's gonna be some craziness going on inside the vehicle.
very nice. Speaking of craziness, Alex7173, welcome to the podcast. Says, fellas, I made it on time. 7-hour time difference, so it's about 5 p.m. over there. Says, here in Italy for the honeymoon. Woke up to the good news that we have the number 2 pick.
Yes,
Alex,
sir.
congratulations
Yeah,
on your
congrats.
marriage. Do us all a favor. Turn off the podcast. Go hook up with the missus, dude. you know, show her that Italian sausage. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just go out the balcony, bend her over, bro. That's what you do.
Congratulations, man. Congratulations. Italy, fantastic. I've never been to Italy. And I'm wanting to go to Italy, but Italy and Spain are so expensive, man. I mean, you may as well go to Australia at that point. It is so expensive.
I can't imagine that. Euro Mike? What would that look like?
I've only been to Europe once, man. I went to Europe on my 20th birthday. I spent my 20th birthday. So I showed up at 19. I came back home 20. Went to Amsterdam. Went to Paris. Went to Belgium. It was fun. But I haven't been. That was 28 years ago. But I mean, now, dude, Chica and I could tear it up over there, dude.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. But I'm like, knowing you'd probably forget something. Then having to buy draws over there in Europe. They don't have American sizes over there, bro.
Dude, literally for the 10th time, I got stopped by TSA. And at this point, Chica is dying laughing. Something about my crotch sets off alarms, okay? On the way, leaving, whether it's going out of San Antonio International Airport, out of Houston, coming back from Miami, Barbados, Bahamas, whatever the case may be, the red box shows up at my crotch and they have to come fuel me up every single time. Every single time I'm being felt up. And Chica's looking at me like, why is this happening? You're not wearing a belt or whatever. I'm like, I don't know, man. I just got some radioactive huevos. I don't know what's going on, but congratulations, Alex7173.
Look at this. They said Europe is too ethnic for Mike.
July 26th, as Mike's crotch is throbbing. Selena's throbbing heat.
Look at that. Mike in a 2X Euro Speedo. God, bro.
That's funny.
Greg, I don't think we need to see the light of day on that one.
Greg asking the question, did I go to the red light? I did not partake in the red light, but I was across the street from it. We passed through it. I mean, it's pretty prominent, right?
Yeah.
It's not in the middle of nowhere. It's like literally downtown. You walk through there and you see the windows of the red light windows and the girls that are in there, and it's like a big vending machine of chicks. There's also a vending machine of dudes. It's like, I'll take that one, I'll take that one, I'll take that one. The people going up there.
It's like Carvana.
Crazy.
Carvana, the vending machine. Go and put some money in, select your hooker, and she comes sliding out.
She goes sliding out. What's your name? Carvana.
Carvana.
We feel bad because our newlywed Alex7173 is saying, quote, she won't let me. I tried.
He tried. You just got to give her some wine first, brother. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, Jason Garcia coming out in the Pacific Northwest saying I was smuggling plums, which is why I get felt up. Okay, so I remember the first time this happened, and I would say that it happens probably about 75% of the time. You go through, and it's set. My crotch every time sets it off. I don't know why. It's a red box around my junk, right? And what they do is they're like, the first time they were like, well, we're gonna have to touch you and all that stuff to make sure that you don't have any weapons, right?
Oh, come on.
And the first time they moved me off to the corner, they're like, sir, do you care if it's a man or a woman who does this? Do you care? And all that stuff. And at this point, the first couple of times I was embarrassed, and I just went off to the side behind like a partition, and they did their job, right? At this point, I know that my junk is going to set the stuff off. I walk through, I see the red box, and I just spread them. And I'm like, just have at it. I've gone through this so many times before. And Chica's like, well, it's because you're dark. Maybe they think you're Middle Eastern. Maybe they think I'm like, with this
Eh.
accent? Come on, man.
And look at
But
Jason Garcia. Did you ask for eye contact?
do you mind if I lick my lips while you're doing this?
You know what's funny is that I talk with Chica, right? And I tell her about the stories you say, right? And I said, I like it how you kind of cook Mike a little bit. And she goes, oh, yeah, the embellisher is what she calls you. And I start
Yeah.
laughing at it. When you're saying a story and we're there with Chica and you're like, oh, yeah, this really happened. And she says, slyly, she just smiles and then she looks over at me and she's like, the embellisher.
Well, okay. So we'll talk about that a little bit because Matt Lerma is saying that this is a classic tall tale. Dude, Chica and I travel a lot. She knows that I'm going to take forever at TSA because I set off the alarms every time. And it's always my crotch. It's never my chest. It's never my pockets. It's always my crotch. And they come by and they do it. And it's so freaking funny, dude. We have a super chat coming in. They want to talk sports. We got a super chat coming in from Grandmaster. Grandmaster Chota says, got word regarding the second pick. It's getting dealt. Sleeper team is Portland. We get 11 and 14 and get Denny, possibly Kamara, and draft Rasheer Fleming. This sounds like are you sure you're not Eric Salinas? Because Eric Salinas has been all over Spurs Twitter talking about Rasheer Fleming, who, by the way, very good player from St. Joseph's. I mean, very, very, very athletic player if you trust a player who played in a smaller league. Danny. The Spurs were intrigued by Danny like 5 years ago when he got into the draft. That's not enough for that player. The 11 and a couple of players, not enough.
Yeah. I had also asked a question too because I posted that our 2 new episodes on Spotify and the latest one has a poll to it, and I said, should the Spurs go ahead and trade that second pick for Giannis? And I asked the question, it's either yes, trade for Giannis or keep the pick. And the more I think about it, Mike, why should the Spurs have to go ahead and make any trades right now that they have that number 2 pick? I know that other teams might be calling because if you have the number 1 and number 2 pick, right, overall, that's highly coveted. And teams are going to be making offers. I'm sure the Spurs are going to entertain them. But at the end of the day, this is a pivotal moment in Spurs history. Getting that second pick after you've already had the number 4, you had the number 1, you have back-to-back Rookie of the Years. If you trade for Giannis, you will have to give up some capital that will probably hurt. And you have to think of it this way. At the end of the day, Castle might be in that trade package. Spurs fans can't say, oh, no, he's absolutely off limits. They're all tradable assets, including Wemby, except that the Spurs aren't going to want to trade Wemby. And if they ever do, the asking price, I'm sure, will be high. But necessarily, the Spurs don't have to make any moves. They could stand pat, keep that pick, and not draft Giannis. And you have a 2, you have a 14 and 38. I think the team's in good shape. Like I said, you go out and you keep what you got. You go out there in the offseason, you go ahead and get some veteran pieces to kind of support the cast already. And this is a playoff-bound team.
It's interesting because I had a different take on this 72 hours ago. I was with Chris Leha in the belief of F them picks, right?
Yeah.
But when you get the number 2 pick, suddenly the Spurs are becoming built, not bought. And that was what the original saying when the Spurs had that run from 98 to 2015, the Tim Duncan years, drafting Duncan in the first round, drafting Parker, drafting Ginobili, and it was built, not bought. We got pieces elsewhere. We had David Robinson, who we drafted, Sean Elliott, who we drafted back in the day. But it felt like you couldn't do that again. But when the Spurs got the number 1 overall pick 2 years ago and got Wemby, we got the centerpiece. And then we got a back-to-back Rookie of the Year in Stephon Castle. And then we win the lottery again and move up to number 2 to potentially get a Dylan Harper or maybe an Ace Bailey. You look at that, Joe. The Spurs now have the ability to say, wait a minute, we don't have to buy this. We don't need to get a super team together because getting that Giannis pick is going to cost more than the draft capital. It's going to cost salary cap space. It's going to cost the inability to re-sign certain players. It's going to cost the inability to bring other free agents in. And I was part of the whole let's buy this chip a few days ago. But when the ping pong balls went this direction and the Spurs got it at number 2, it changes everything. That is not a flip flop. That is just going with what the new information that's available.
The number 2
And,
pick changed everything.
right. And we have a comment here from Beetlejuice, Chris Leha. Say my name and I will appear. F them picks. Y'all want some kid that hasn't done anything in the league or some old dude in KD when Giannis is there in his prime. I get that. But here's the thing. You could have said the same thing about, I don't know, Paul George. Paul George, who was a top 10 player in the league. He got dealt for a guy named Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who was a all-NBA rookie first-team guy. And actually, Gilgeous-Alexander was a second-team All-NBA. Luka was the starting point guard on the all-rookie team that year. But you look at it, and I was part of what Leha was saying.
F them picks.
Just 72 hours ago, man. But Dylan Harper is a very, very good player. Now, the weird thing is that the last 4 or 5 number 2 players that have been picked in the draft have been pretty good. They've been all right. But it's been a while since we've seen a John Morant. But this is a strong draft, Joe. This is a guy that would have gone number 1 in the draft last year. Not with Wemby, but by far he would have been the first pick. But Jonathan Givony of The Athletic and released some video from yesterday from the Combine. And Jonathan Givony.
This is Dylan Harper.
Dylan Harper shooting threes. He looked to be changing his way of doing things. By the way, Givony's with ESPN. They're going in. He was a 33.3% shooter in college, and they have him do essentially what 3-point competition. They give him 5 balls, but instead of having it on the rack, they're passing it to him, right? So it's catch and shoot. He's a 40% catch and shoot kind of guy from 3. He can catch. He can knock him down. Again, overall 33%, which was higher than what Castle had as a freshman over at UConn.
That's a little bit more than all right, Mike. That's better than Sohan out there beyond the arc.
Yes, it doesn't look like a broken shot. The weird thing is, Joe, here's the thing. He's left-handed.
Yeah.
I mean, so he's a lefty. Manu, remember Manu, how difficult it was to guard a lefty, but his release point's kind of low. And I wonder if they're going to change that because it should be 2 or 3 inches higher than where it is right there. He gets low to the ground. I mean, it's not Sean Marion low, where Sean Marion was basically shooting it from his stomach. But this is something to keep an eye on because, I mean, it's one thing to have a low release point, but at least it's going in, right, Joe?
At least it is, man. I mean, he looks better out there than Sohan. And you know what? Somebody had said the same thing, and I was thinking it. If the Spurs at 14 or the 38th pick, they might be able to go ahead and pick Sohan's replacement. Let's be honest.
Right. So Jason Garcia is like, wait a minute, he's a lefty on our stream over here. Yeah, he's left-handed. You know, so that makes things a little bit difficult for opposing players because opposing players aren't used to seeing a left-handed point guard or a left-handed combo guard. He got measured at 6'4.5". They said that he grew half an inch in the last year. His dad is Ron Harper, who is a 5-time NBA champion who started as point guard for 5 NBA championship teams, 3 with Jordan's Bulls and 2 with Kobe and Shaq with the Lakers. His mom was also a basketball player as well. So you take a look at it, the pedigrees there. His brother plays in the league. There's pedigree when it comes to it all. 5-star recruit coming out of high school, New Jersey Player of the Year, stayed in state to play with Rutgers.
And look, it's Safe Space Invaders saying another small guard. Awesome. But at the end of the day, think of it this way. You need bucket getters. You need people that can shoot the ball on the perimeter. Right now, the Spurs haven't really been known for that. They don't have consistent shooters, right? People that can consistently knock down an open 3, knock down an open jumper. If you can go ahead and bring somebody in at 2 and at 14, and even though it might be a shooting guard, small forward, power forward kind of thing, combo guard, and they can go ahead and space the floor well by shooting the ball at a healthy clip, that opens up the game for everybody at the end of the day. And that's exactly what you need.
And at 6'5", let's say 6'4.5", 6'5", 6'6" with shoes, is that really a small guard? I mean, Magic Johnson was 6'9", but that was an anomaly. Not all guards are 6'9". Most guards are in the range of 6'1" to 6'6". That's where
I
Castle's
mean,
at right now, right?
what was Trey Jones when we had him here? Barely 6 foot, maybe 6'1". You know,
Right.
he was a small guard. I mean,
But
and go ahead.
well, Matt Laramie has a super chat that came in, $2 super chat. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for
go ahead and show that.
the donation there. It says, I need Mike to cool it with the Manu comparisons. It's hard to compare somebody to Manu because Manu was a one of a kind type of player, right? The flash, the style, the substance that he had there. So I'm not going to compare him when it comes to the heart and the desire that Manu had, right? Because that was an elite level, and I don't know if Dylan Harper has that. But you ask, what are the comparisons to Manu? Well, he's left-handed. Secondly, remember Manu back in the day? Long-haired Manu could
Oh,
finish a dunk and would not be afraid to go in again on the over the trees and throw it down. He has
yeah.
that, right?
And Manu, the
Matt,
long haired Manu, also had the nutmeg down pat.
yeah, Manu had mad handles. You know what? If anybody in this draft has the best handles, it's Dylan Harper, right? So he's got the mad handles that Manu had. He's left-handed like Manu. He finishes drives like Manu. I don't know if he has the heart or the fire or the passion that Manu does, because again, who does? But there's a lot of things that are more similar than not. And for those who say that 34.5% is not good from three for college it's actually okay. Okay, because what did we see? We saw about I want to say about a 4% improvement from Stephon Castle going from college to pros.
Yeah.
So if you get a 2 or 3% percentage increase and he's shooting 36%, that's a good play. That's a good player to have, man.
Yeah. The thing is with comparisons to Manu is like I understand like Chris Leha was saying, you're all comparing this kid and he hasn't done nothing, he was kind of going on here. Said the kid hasn't done jack shit in the NBA to be compared to NBA grades. Stop con la mierda is what he's saying. But at the end of the day, we really don't know what the kid can do. We know what he looks like right now at the combine. Let's go ahead and see what he looks like in the context of a real NBA season out there on the court playing against men. Because when you're in college ball, it's totally different. The game doesn't move as fast, and you don't have, let's say, the high level player, the high level talent that you have at the NBA level. And let's see how the game comes to him. He's going to have a learning curve, no doubt. A couple of months there. Same thing happened with Castle, but his learning curve was shortened because he was saying, even in preseason, how the game was kind of slowing down for him already, and that was evident when the season started.
And to correct myself, Castle did not improve by 4% from three from college to the pros. He improved by about 2%. So 2% for Dylan Harper would be around 35, 36%, which is where you want to be anyway.
Yeah.
The idea that they've never played a game, so you got to settle down, has no bearing on anything. That line of thinking makes absolutely no sense to me.
So you're saying Chris Leha makes no sense?
Well, what I'm saying is that there are those who evaluate players and they give certain beliefs. Now there are going to be some busts out there. It happens all the time, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's always going to be a bust out there. There's bad drafts. There's good drafts.
Who can forget the debacle with Darko
Milicic back in 2003? You had what, LeBron James go 1, Darko 2. Then you had Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, right in there. By the way, speaking of Dwayne Wade, guess the player comparison Dylan Harper gets? Jonathan Givani of ESPN. His player comparison is Dwayne Wade.
All right.
But the reason for that is that they're not saying that they are Dwayne Wade yet. What they're saying is that they are on the same trend line as that. Give you an example. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Stephon Castle have a very similar trend line, right? Both were mentored by Chris Paul. Both came in and shot around the same way as a rookie. It's funny that you see this trend line. You knew that LeBron was going to be great when he got into the league. You knew that Wemby was going to be an all-star. You knew certain things. The belief is that there's a 1 and 1A in this draft. That 1 is Cooper Flagg. That 1A is Dylan Harper. And then everybody else is below that. And that's the hard part as Spurs fans is The Spurs are not good enough to draft for need. If it was a draft for need, you know what? This is a test for Brian Wright, because it would have been so easy for Brian Wright to have the no-brainer pick. The no-brainer pick of, we got the third pick in the draft, or we got the first pick of the draft, right? Those are the two no-brainer picks, right? Number one, you get Cooper Flagg. Number three, you get Ace Bailey, right? Because you're like, Cooper Flagg's gone, Dylan Harper's gone. We're going to get the best big guy that's there, or best combo four that's there. We're going to go get Ace Bailey. It makes sense. It makes perfect sense to believe that Ace Bailey would fit. And don't get me wrong, if for some reason he does that, I will buy into it. But if you're going strictly by who is the best player on the board, all 32 teams in the NBA, guess what, Joe? All 30 teams in the NBA, rather. All 30, guess who they have as the number 2 player in the draft? Dylan Harper.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
Every mock draft as well has Harper.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Universal across the board. So this wasn't a draft of Cooper Flagg and a bunch of others. Like that. It was like that with Wemby, right? It was Wemby, and then
everybody else,
right?
Yeah.
Could have been Scoot Henderson. Yeah, it could have been whomever, Oscar Thompson, Amen Thompson, whomever from that draft. It was Wemby and everybody else. Here is Flagg and Harper, and then 3 through 7 is beauty is in the eye of the beholder. If you need an Ace Bailey, you go get Ace Bailey. You get Trey Johnson, you get Trey Johnson. If you want to go get Con Knipple, you want to go get VJ Edgecombe, it's beauty in the eye of the beholder at that point. But position-wise, the Spurs need Ace Bailey. It's just, are you going to go get Ace? Are you going to go get Chris Bosh? Because you need a big guy when Dwayne Wade's on the board.
Yeah. Hey, we do have an incoming super chat here, by the way. We got it addressed by Tony Ornelas. Tony, thank you so much. He's been one of our most avid listeners here. We appreciate you. He says, happy with Bailey, but I feel Harper is special.
Yeah. Tony, thank you so much for the support, man. And like I said, daily support when it comes to you. And thank you so much. That's the thing, is that, there's certain prospects out there that are considered special. Look at the NFL this year, right? The NFL, you had 2 years ago, you had 6 players drafted in the top 12 that were quarterbacks. And this year, you had 2 quarterbacks drafted in the entire first round. Why? Because those quarterbacks 2 years ago had high ratings when it comes to draft analysis, arm strength, and all of that stuff, right? This year, they all sucked for the most part. And only 2 got drafted. Somebody brought up Markelle Fultz.
Yeah, why they were saying that was
why is it people bring up Markelle Fultz but don't bring up John Morant?
And look, this is what Daniel Batista was saying. He says Markelle Fultz was a big-time bust. Sixers could have gotten Tatum.
Yeah, but did they? But then again, I'm looking up at that draft. That was the 2017 NBA draft, right?
Yeah.
So I'm taking a look at it. Let's take a look at that draft. By the way, we've seen a lot of players go better at number 3 than anywhere else. I guess the problem is, man, is that sometimes it's not about the skill set, but it's about the heart, and that's what it takes about. So if the Spurs go out and interview Ace Bailey,
yeah,
and they come out and say, man, I know Dylan Harper is going to be special, but we think Ace Bailey has the ability to be just as special. Ace Bailey, 6'7", small forward, can shoot the 3, average 17 points per game for Rutgers, was Dylan Harper's roommate. All right?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Hey, we do have a new listener coming in right now. Welcome, Bruce Moody. He says, 2-0.
That's right, baby.
I'm glad I found this local podcast. This is so cool, 100. Welcome.
That's awesome, baby. That's awesome. Welcome to the podcast, man. Monday through Friday, 10 to 11:30. And we also make sure not to date the podcast, which means that if you can't catch it live and you want to catch it at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, it's not going to be like, oh, man, I missed a lot. It's old. We don't date it at all. But, Joe, one thing I need to talk to you about that, Joe, is that the measurements of a draft, is you need to understand that it's beyond just what they can do physically, but it's also what's between the ears. And it's funny that people make mention to Markelle Fultz, Ben Simmons, and players like that. Guess what happened with those players, dude? It wasn't that they weren't physically talented. It was mentally they
Yes.
weren't.
That's the one thing, man, that Lucas Simonik, for example, kid had a high upside in the eyes of the San Antonio Spurs front office. They looked at the kid and they're like, on paper, he looks good, could be a project, he could pan out. Let's go ahead and draft him. Kid had the talent. The problem with him is it was in between the ears. It's the mental aspect of things. Same thing happened with one Lonnie Walker.
Mm-hmm.
Great off the charts athleticism. Just couldn't put it together because it was a mental issue. He left the Spurs, went on to go and play with the Nets, went to play on with the Lakers, and now I think he was with the Sixers this coming season or this season. But the problem is that that's one thing that is stifling to the growth of said player, especially with the talent that Ben Simmons had. He wasn't known for shooting, but he didn't really have to shoot because he would play great defense. He would do all the other little things that you needed a teammate to do. But the problem with him, it's all between the ears, man, because he became a pariah in the locker room, in the detriment to whatever team he went to. So now I think that because of that, his time in the NBA might be nigh. He might not sniff a court again, you know?
Got breaking news. Tim McMahon of ESPN saying that the Dallas Mavericks say they will not trade the number 1 overall pick that they're drafting Flag. So according to ESPN, Dallas is shooting down every single offer. They've made it known that they're going to draft Cooper Flag out of Duke. Tony Ornella says on our YouTube stream, which by the way is powered by MCS General Contracting for all your concrete placement needs, says, I feel Harper is special, but then I think, what if Ace Bailey is the next Kawhi and stays with the Spurs long term? Damn the pressure of being a GM. Can't go wrong with either Harper or Bailey. Thank you so much for the comment, Tony. The thing about it is this. We talk about what's in between the ears, right?
Yeah.
Do you think Dylan Harper is going to have an issue with what's between the ears when his dad is Ron Harper, who played 15 seasons in the NBA, had 5 championships? Do you think that his mom, who played professional basketball herself, and his brother, who plays basketball himself, and Ron Harper, who played with Jordan, Pippen, Kobe, and Shaq, who was also an assistant head coach in the NBA with the Detroit Pistons? Do you think Dylan Harper is going to have an issue with what's between his ears? I don't.
No. I think the kid is it's in his DNA, right? The NBA is in his DNA. He comes from a great pedigree, not only from his mom, but also from his dad. They've already ingrained a lot of aspects of what it takes to compete at the highest level. I think from a mental perspective, the kid is ready. You know, of course, anybody that you're getting in the draft, you would expect, especially at number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, all the way up to number 5, maybe, that they're going to be more NBA ready than other players in this said draft, which means that they can come right on in. They're going to need a little bit of polish, a learning curve right there. But once they figure things out, hopefully you're going to see them flourish, much like we saw Castle. I think it's not out of the realm of possibility that if the Spurs go ahead and draft Harper at number 2, they're going to have something that hasn't happened in quite some time. They're going to have 3 Rookie of the Year contentions.
They could if he gets the minutes.
If he gets the minutes, yeah.
If he gets the minutes. Jonathan Givani of ESPN, we showed earlier the video of Dylan Harper. Let's show some video of Ace Bailey, because Ace Bailey is a very talented player, also played for Rutgers. Oddly enough, these guys...
I got this right now, too, and I'm going to show this to you as well. They got the Cooper Flag over here shooting threes.
Yeah.
How do you think his shot looks?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Look at that.
He's considered to be his player comparison is oddly enough Scottie Pippen. Is the player comparison that he has.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and look for Ace Bailey right now.
Yeah, but Ace Bailey, just to kind of give you a background, played 30 games last year for the for Rutgers. Averaged 17.6 points, 7.2 rebounds, 1.3 assists. The guy has a pretty accurate shooting motion. Shot 46% from the field, 34.6% from 3. So he shot about a percentage point better, 1.3% better than Dylan Harper. He's a very fluid player. I mean, he glides on the court. You can see how he's taking the ball and doing step up, spot up threes. So he's doing the three shot differently than Dylan Harper. Dylan Harper was catch and shoot, catch and shoot, catch and shoot. He's like, hey, I want to catch it in of momentum, on the run and shoot it. That's Dylan Harper there. Very nice, man.
You have people like Mexican Junior saying his dad doesn't mean anything. Is Bronny destined for greatness?
No, he's
because
not.
of who his dad is?
I am absolutely Mexican Junior. Thank you so much for watching this show. So I don't want you to think that I'm mad at you, okay? But I am mad at that argument, okay? Because Bronny James was never considered to be a 5-star athlete. He was not. Bronny James was a guy who averaged 5 points per game in college, was somebody who was a 3-star recruit. He was not a 5-star recruit. He was not the high school basketball player of the year for any state, which Dylan Harper was in New Jersey. Dylan Harper was a 5-star recruit all the way through, okay? Bronny James is 7 inches shorter than his dad. So you got to put it all into full context when it comes to it all. And I like what Tavarius says. The Spurs have to model after the Pacers. And you know what? Things have changed. Things have changed. Before the draft, if the Spurs were picking 9 and 14, F them picks. Move them on out. Move them on out. Just come get the star. Get a 2-year window for Wemby. Yeah. But now that we have Dylan Harper coming to the Spurs or Ace Bailey coming to the Spurs, you know what? Trade that 14 pick. Get us swapping another first rounder down the road in 2033.
F them picks.
And we'll have 2 first rounders when we move into Project Marvel in the 2030s.
Well, you know what the word on the street is? If you say F them picks 3 times, Chris Leja shows up just like Beetlejuice. And I was gonna say this as well, Mike. The one thing that I get a little bit not angry with, but annoyed with, is the faction of Spurs fan that still hangs on to the old moniker, built, not brought. You can't say that nowadays because the Spurs don't have that luxury of having 3 Hall of Famers or 4 Hall of Famers on the team at any one given point in time. Right now there's still a team that's trying to find their identity. Hopefully they can stay healthy and make the playoffs, but that was years ago. Now you have to go ahead and buy your player, because whether you draft them, you put time and energy and effort into developing said player. When their contract comes a calling, you got to pay them. So now teams are not built, they're bought. You have to buy your players, because if not, they're going to go off and play on another team.
Well, I mean, some are hybrids. Look at the Boston Celtics. They drafted Jason Tatum. They drafted Jaylen Brown. But then they also brought in Derek White and Porzingis, and they brought in Horford and Drew Holiday and all these players over the years, right? You look at even the Pacers. Halliburton wasn't signed by them. Correct me if I'm wrong. He was a Sacramento player for a while. Then he made his way on over. It's one of those things where it has to be a combination. You have to draft well. You have to get the right veterans in, the right free agents, and you have to do the right trades. And the Spurs have focused so much on building it through the draft that it looks stupid. But until the ping pong balls went their way, suddenly it's the right thing to do. It shows you how lucky Pop in the front office are, how lucky Brian Wright is at this, because there was a 14% chance of getting Wemby. Yeah. There was a 52% chance of getting Castle, which is basically a coin flip. And there was a 30% chance of going up and getting a Dylan Harper type of player. 25% chance, right, of getting Dylan Harper.
Look at Tony.
Think about that, Joe. A 14% chance, a 50% chance, and a 25% chance all had to happen for the Spurs to be here back to back to back.
Yeah. And look at what Tony Ornelas is saying. Joe, we can't have the luxury. We have nice future picks. He goes, OKC has been built, not brought, Joe. Disagree. Bought as signing a supermax contract like Giannis. But the thing is, what you have to understand, Tony, is that OKC, they have a ton of picks, right? And they've been drafting well in the draft. But at the same time, what have they done to go ahead and solidify some of the needs of the team? They've gone out and gotten some veteran talent that they had to pay. So it's different nowadays. You have to have a healthy mix. You still have to go ahead and you can draft well, but you also have to go ahead and pay some veterans to come in and solidify some of the needs of the team. That's what OKC has done. Even though they're a very young team, they do have some veterans on there.
OKC has done a fantastic job of drafting. They drafted Chet Holmgren. They drafted Jalen Williams. They've done a good job drafting, right? But who's their best player? Who's going to win MVP? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, right?
Shy, yeah.
Well, guess what? He wasn't drafted by them. He was traded for. So even though they've done a good job building a team, their best player, they're nothing without SGA. Their best player was done through a trade. So Sam Presti has done a fantastic job over there at Oklahoma City. You know who else does a fantastic job? Our good friends at MCS General Contracting. They do the concrete placement needs. Let's show them some love, Joe.
MCS General Contracting, more than 30 years of combined experience in concrete placement. They are the best in the business. Honest pricing, high quality work. They get going on house foundations, driveways, concrete patio decks. If you want to extend the deck, extend the driveway. If you're a business and you need to put together a slab, a parking lot, or other concrete placement services or sidewalks, reach out to MCS General Contracting at 210-774-9155. They're confident in their skills, so give Chris Leha over at MCS General Contracting a call at 210-774-9155. And thank you for being a sponsor of this show.
Very nice, man. That Diamond Heart Concrete, 774-9155. I'm a customer myself. They did a sidewalk and a concrete patio extension to my house about a year and a half ago. They did a fantastic job. 210-774-9155. You need a slab done. Businesses who need sidewalks to become ADA compliant. If you need a pickleball court, a basketball court, a swimming pool, a slab for a home or a business, a parking lot done, MCS General Contracting, 210-774-9155. And Joe, if you can show my number real fast. This is my personal cell phone number, 210-508-0369. For those of you who are new to the show, you're asking, well, why is Mike giving away his cell phone number? It's because my day job is I'm a financial guy, so I do investments and insurances, and I've been doing it for 19 years. My 20-year anniversary is in August. So that's if you have a 401k that needs to be rolled over, an old IRA, want to do a college savings account. If you need life insurance, auto insurance, homeowners insurance, disability, need to set up something for your business. I've been doing it for a long, long time, and I'm successful doing it. 210-508-0369. Joe, Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs and Ken's 5, if you can go on to his Twitter account.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and bring that up.
Just posted video of Dylan Harper doing drills at the Combine, which is taking place right now in Chicago.
Oh,
Let's take a look at Dylan Harper. Let's see how fluid it is. Again, he's left-handed. He's a lefty. It was posted about an hour ago. So here it is.
There goes.
Dylan Harper doing the shuttle cone drill.
I'd like to see you do that, Mike. I don't know, man. I think we'd both fall or get a cramp on our leg or something.
Oh man, but look at that movement, dude. He's very fluid. You see some players who struggle at things like this, but all of this is just showing your left to right movement, your side to side movement, things that are needed for defense, right?
Yeah, I got great footwork, lateral movement.
Yeah,
you know
exactly. Joe, did I tell you about what happened to my knee the other day?
Yeah, you were telling us you had to put that towel behind your knee and your MCLs popped or something like that?
Yeah, it was something popped in there. It was some sort of tear, meniscus tear.
Yeah.
And I was telling this to the owner of the firm that I worked through yesterday, and he was fascinated because he had meniscus injuries in the past. And he goes, let me get this straight. He goes, I went to the doctor, spent all this money on a copay to meet a physical therapist, and you saw a 1-minute TikTok, and the TikTok showed you how to fix the knee on your own. I was like, damn straight it did. TikTok has everything, my man.
Look,
Jesse,
we had some chat coming in. No, we had some chats coming in here, and one of them was funny, dude. I wanted to read this to you. And it says, look at this. Jonathan C's asking you a question, Mike. Do you do home insurance?
Damn straight I do, baby. Got about 10 companies that I go through. So, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 210-508-0369. So someone posted on there. So yes, I do auto and homeowners insurance. If you have auto through a company like Progressive, Allstate, Nationwide, Safeco, Liberty Mutual, the big companies like that, I can more than likely become your agent and not change anything other than if you just want me to be your agent. I mean, I can do that too. I don't do anything that has a farm in it, right? So not Farm Bureau, State Farm, Farmers. No. But I can insure a farm, but I do not represent any companies that have the word farm in it.
No, okay, no farmers, anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I was going to ask you a question with, and I think this is something that's a highly debated topic around town here, and it's this. I'm going to show this to you, and you tell me what your thoughts are on this, Mike. Because right now, the Portland Trailblazers have announced that its ownership is pursuing a sale of the franchise. It says the process is expected to extend into the 2025-2026 upcoming season. So, more than likely, they're going to wind up staying in town, right? But the problem here is bringing this back to Spur fan. You know, I know a lot of Spurs fans are right now against Project Marvel because we don't know a lot about it, right? We don't know a lot about where the funding's coming from. We've even had one of the Holts come out and say, oh, we're not going to look for the taxpayer to pay for the new arena downtown. We'll go ahead and fit the bill. But that's just one aspect of it. You still have the other facilities that are going to be built alongside the new Spurs arena downtown. There's still a lot of questions there. But the question that I pose is NBA arenas have a lifespan, about 29 to 30 years.
30
And that's
years.
just the cost of having a professional sports franchise in your city. Spurs fan right now, I think, is a little bit, let's say, jaded because the Spurs have been losing for the last 6 or 7 seasons, right? Haven't gone to the playoffs, haven't really given the city much to get excited about. This is a pivotal year for Spurs, for the San Antonio Spurs, because if they want to sway the vote of said, let's say, taxpayer and fan, the team needs to win, right? Winning makes everything better, and selling the thought of, hey, we need a new arena and we want to build it downtown would be easier if the Spurs are winning. The other thing is, Spurs fans, you have to go ahead and look at it this way. If you don't go ahead and build a new arena and vote for it every 30 years, your team can be sold and go somewhere else. And if anybody's going to come a calling for the San Antonio Spurs, in my mind, it would be Las Vegas or Seattle. So if you don't want to see the team jump ship and go somewhere else, they need a new arena, but I know at the end of the day, it has to make sense for the taxpayer as well. So that's the faux pas, or the issue that we have here. And it comes up quite a bit, you know, especially now that you're going to have a mayoral runoff and you're going to have some other things that are going to happen throughout the year. I'm sure at some point Project Marvel is going to be on the docket, you know, so this is something that is near and dear to the heart of Spurs fan. Do you want to see the team leave because you don't want to give them a new arena? Or what's the cost going to really be, Mike, at the end of the day for a new arena downtown?
Well, the thing is that, you know, you're saying we need to have a winning team to make that happen. Project Marvel is going to take 5 or 6 or 7 years to make happen,
Yeah.
right? So you don't know what we're going to be. We start talking about how Brian Wright's trading for players that are going to be in 7th grade right now. In 2032, they might come and be on the team. Well, that's when Project Marvel is going to take hold, right? We'll be on the downslope of Wemby's career by the time Project Marvel is done with, right? It's going to cost money. The Trailblazers are being sold because Paul Allen died a handful of years ago. Paul Allen was the co-founder, along with Bill Gates, of Microsoft. He died. His family took over it, and they have to get rid of the team. So they're not selling for the point of just because. It's because Paul Allen died, you know? I cannot imagine San Antonio without the Spurs. And a lot of people got pissed off at me on Twitter when I said, oh, so you don't want Project Marvel? You want San Antonio to become Big Laredo? Because all San Antonio is without the Spurs is Laredo with a Riverwalk.
Always have to go ahead and poke the valley, man.
At least we got better tacos than Laredo. Laredo tacos are good. Laredo tacos are good. But San Antonio is top tier. But no, I mean, imagine San Antonio without the Spurs. The city would just basically die. Like the first death that the city of San Antonio had was in the 90s when Kelly Air Force Base went under.
That was brutal, man. And
It's never been the same.
I was working for Kelly at the time that happened, and I remember watching this on closed circuit TV, right?
Hmm.
And they were showing, because it was like a military TV, right? Broadcasting. And they were kind of talking about things behind the scenes. And one of those things was base closings. And we were seeing it unfold in real time at the time, because it was coming over and it being broadcast over closed circuit TV. And we're waiting there, and it's like Kelly Air Force's base name came up as a base that was going to close. And immediately the room was just like, a collective sigh because they knew what was coming. And sure enough, over that year, they were preparing us, telling us, hey, man, we're going to go ahead and have job fairs, things like that. You have to get debriefed as you're going to exit because they're trying to get everybody jobs as the base is preparing to close. And it was just a sad time overall because Kelly had a dramatic impact, not only in the community, but also because of the jobs that it brought, right? Everybody
Right.
looked to it as military USA, and it had a big impact here within the community itself. And that's the same thing that's happening with the Spurs. They have a big impact in the community itself because they do a lot of good things for the community, but more importantly, they're only professional sports franchise that we have in town. You know?
Jonathan, see, I mean, thank you for bringing all that up, man, because like you said, you worked there and you experienced that. My dad lost his job over there. He was offered a
Yeah, it
position
was
at
tough.
Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma, but he said no. But yeah, that was a big gut punch to the city of San Antonio. Spurs lose. The city of San Antonio loses the Spurs, man. You just dig a
Revenue alone.
dig a 6 foot hole and lower the whole city into the ground. Jonathan C says he used to live outside that base at the old officers' townhouse, the Billy Mitchell Apartments.
Oh, I
That
remember those, man.
they had the bowling alley right next door to them,
Yeah.
down the street. That was pretty
So that
cool.
was that was military housing at the time, right there
Yeah.
behind Billy Mitchell and all that. Because my aunt used to live there as well. They're dilapidated now. Like they were all like it was a red brick, and it was red brick, and it was like little apartment homes that they had there, and they all looked the same. It was a uniformed appearance. But I know exactly what he's saying.
We're seeing Jesse A saying the Spurs have a monopoly and don't want any other sports in town. Dude,
This is true.
Joe Reinagel, San Antonio sports star, has said in the past that when he worked at Ken's Five, that he was told back in the day that the Spurs killed the idea of the Saints staying in San Antonio. That any team coming to San Antonio would have to go through the Spurs, much like Austin. Why are the Spurs not going to Austin? It's because UT won't allow it. UT's not going to
Yeah.
allow that to happen. So Matt Lerma is talking about how he had to move to Oklahoma after Kelly closed. Man, I was about to do that too. I was in high school. My dad was like, "Hey, they're telling us to go to Tinker." He just ended up retiring.
That's what I think a lot of people don't understand. That the closing of Kelly Air Force Base had an influx of people moving from San Antonio, and they had to go to Oklahoma if they wanted to continue working for the federal government. Because a lot of them had security clearance. So you have a security clearance. You have a clearance costs a lot of money for one. Then two, you want to go ahead and still keep the pay that you're getting. You still kind of want to live that same kind of lifestyle. Oklahoma's still going to be that because of the cost
Yeah.
of living. So that's why a lot of people upped and moved.
Now Joey Noriega reaches out and says, "At least we got the Tech Port and Boeing Center." It was beyond Kelly, but also Brooks Air Force Base also pretty much shut down as well
Shut
for
down,
the most
yeah.
part. But Kay Bailey Hutchison, who was the senator at the time, Republican senator for Texas, she worked her ass off to make sure that something was there, that it wasn't a deserted area. So you saw Boeing and Lockheed Martin move in to Kelly, USA. They became that. Brooks City base became a thing, and it's now a thriving part of the city. I was taking my girlfriend up and down the south side the other day, and I was showing her, I was like, yeah, these areas here were, there wasn't much going on 10, 15, 20 years ago, but it was almost like Kelly leaving and Brooks shutting down as well was a shot in the arm to these areas commercial wise. And I'm glad to see that those areas of San Antonio did not die. In fact, you might even argue that it's thriving a little bit more because of it all. And Techport's a good arena, man. I've enjoyed the concerts I've gone to over there.
It's a good venue, man, especially if you can go ahead and get the VIP area where they have the tables and you have
Yeah.
a good view of the stage, man, I like being up there. It's nice, man. And when you get up there, you have to pay like a subscription based, right, to get up there every month. But you also get the VIP parking, which is like right there by the arena. And the parking's not that far anyway. If you have to park across the street, it's not much of a trek. I mean, it's kind of short when you think of it, but it's still good. Oh, we got an incoming super chat, by the way, from Jason Garcia. Thank you so much, Jason. We appreciate you supporting us all the way from the great state of Oregon over there in Portland right now. He says the estate of Paul Allen is selling to a local buyer to keep the Blazers in Portland. This is Allen's final wishes.
Yeah, very much so. We got a message from Tony Ornalis earlier, and it was a message basically saying that, and this is something that he sent us through social media. People who are saying that the draft lottery is rigged for whatever reason,
The conspiracist.
and he was saying that there have been 4 drafts that have had teams go number 1 overall that had a suspicious or controversial trade mid-season or the season before. So it says LeBron signs with the Heat, Cavs won the lottery. Chris Paul traded to the Clippers, Pelicans won the lottery. Anthony Davis traded to the Lakers, Pelicans won the lottery. Luka Doncic traded to the Lakers, Mavericks won the lottery. It's basically saying just connect the dots. If there's a controversial or very questionable trade, that team typically wins the lottery that year. But again, everyone would have to be in on it, and all the teams are witnessing what's going on. By the way, it was I saw on ESPN they said that that when they draft when the ping pong balls come out, and they actually showed the ping pong balls later on, like here is a review. If it's a low number, it's going to go closer to form, where a team that is supposed to be 1, 2, 3, or 4 that had the worst records comes out, right? But apparently the first ball that came out was a 14, which means that it's swinging towards the teams that are not supposed to win. Yeah. And apparently the second number that popped up was an 11. That's another number. Another number that popped up was a 10. That's another number that's supposed to be on the other way. And what ended up happening was the only combinations that were left were the Dallas Mavericks, and I believe it was the Washington Wizards were the only 2 teams remaining, and it came up as Dallas. Yeah. And that everybody in the room was laughing because they realized Dallas had won, and because of the whole Luka Doncic trade, that it was the most animated the room had ever been, according to ESPN, for the draft process when they saw those numbers get pulled the way that they were. But it's done by PricewaterhouseCoopers, man. That's a very storied and proud company that does it. Yeah. You have all the representatives from all the different teams that are there, so it is not a scandal. But what was a scandal was back in 1919, the Chicago Black Sox. Oh, you liked that, didn't you? You like that? Rob Thompson of San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN SA back in the day would go, Michael always has the good segues. The scandal back in 1919 was the Chicago Black Sox, and you saw Shoeless Joe Jackson. He got banned along with 7 other White Sox players for quote-unquote throwing the World Series. Shoeless Joe Jackson batted .375 in that series and hit the only home run for the team. So it didn't appear as though he was throwing the World Series, but he took the money from gamblers. He took like $5,000 in those dollars, right? So that's a lot of money now. But man, he got banned for life. And then famously that turned into a movie down the road, 8 Men Out. And then also he was alluded to, who was it that played him on Field of Dreams? It was Ray Liotta who played him in Field of Dreams. Well, Shoeless Joe Jackson is now eligible for the Hall of Fame because yesterday Major League Baseball made the announcement that they're going to lift the lifetime bans of several players, Shoeless Joe Jackson being one of them. But the big headliner is Pete Rose is now eligible to go into the Hall of Fame posthumously because he's already passed away.
Isn't that something, though? Why wouldn't you want to go ahead and have those said players reinstated? You know, and the thing is, like Pete Rose, for example, okay, he was betting and all that, but betting has become so prevalent over the last couple of years. Everybody's doing that now. You have DraftKings, FanDuel, you know, anything else coming out alongside the telecast as sponsors. You're seeing their logos flashed across the bottom of the ticker and whatnot. and you've banned Pete Rose because he bet notoriously against his own team. I get that, but at some point in time, wouldn't you want to have your Hall of Famers be inducted while they're still alive and not passed on, and
Mhm.
being represented by their families over there when
Well,
they're being inducted? To me, it's just silly. It's like harboring old feelings, right? You're just so jaded that you're not going to go ahead and cave until they die. That's a dumb rule. That's
well,
stupid.
the baseball commissioner came out. Was it Rob Manfred? I believe is his name. He came out and said it's a lifetime ban. Their lifetime ended, so therefore the ban is lifted. So now, future reference, if someone is banned for life, that ban into getting into the Hall of Fame goes away the second that they pass away.
You got to get died to get in the Hall of Fame. That's
I got
stupid.
to get died to get in.
Nah.
But apparently there's a waiting period. So they said I read that it's going to be 3 years. So in 2028 we may have the class of Pete Rose, Shoeless Joe Jackson, and Barry Bonds. That, or Roger Clemens, or whatever the case may be. But it's interesting. Pete Rose. All the betting that he did, though, here's the thing about Pete Rose and his betting. It has been argued that he bet on his team at all times, that he never bet against his team. If he bet against his team, I would have been like, screw you. But the fact that they were saying that he bet like 60 times or whatever, how many times it was, but it was for his team to win, I'm kind of okay with. And you mentioned the betting that goes on in games right now. You go to the Phoenix Suns games. Did you know that in Phoenix, they have kiosks where you can place bets in real time at the stadium, and then you can do it on the app while you're there, man. So it's funny. Let's give some love to Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs and Ken's 5 for that daily Spurs content. I'm going to be on Locked On Spurs tomorrow. We just taped that episode, so we're looking forward to that. But here's some love to Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs.
Locked On Spurs is your daily Spurs podcast, hosted by Jeff Garcia, the lead Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Jeff has a healthy plethora of guests all the time on the Locked On Spurs podcast. You can also follow Jeff on Threads at Jeff G Ken's 5 SA. You can also follow Jeff on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. So make sure you go ahead and give Jeff a follow not only on Threads and Twitter, but also on YouTube at youtube.com/@Locked On Spurs. This is where you're going to be able to find the replay of the Locked On Spurs podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share.
That's right. More than 7,000 subscribers on YouTube. I will be on tomorrow. We did a good job talking about Ace Bailey versus Dylan Harper, and that'll be on tomorrow's Locked On Spurs. Dallas Mavericks have announced today, according to ESPN, and as reported by Jeff Garcia at Jeff G Spurs on Twitter, Threads, and on Kens5.com, that Dylan Harper will probably go 2 or 3. Cooper Flagg obviously going to go number 1 because the Dallas Mavericks said that they're not going to trade that pick. They're going to keep that pick and draft Cooper Flagg whether he likes it or not. Joe, we got to talk some pop culture, and I'm going to let you take the lead on this. Okay. Our girl Salma Hayek, who, by the way, her real last name is Jimenez, for those of you who don't know that, is going to be in a swimsuit for Sports Illustrated's 2025 cover. She's the cover girl, Joe. How excited are you on a scale of 1 through 10 of this happening? If you go through the Twitter pages, there are some photos of her on there. She is 58 years old, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm all for it, man. I mean, what's wrong with her, bro?
All 5'2" of her, 58 years old, is going to be on the swimsuit edition.
God damn! Look at that.
I'll let you take this one.
Lord have mercy. Look at her. All 58 years old of her? Bro, come on. She's still smoking hot, bro. Ain't nothing wrong with her face or nothing, dude. I don't know what you're talking about, Mike. I always got to find something. It's like that guy. What was it from Shallow Hal? He's with that model, that supermodel. Nah, bro, I can't. Because her pinky toe is bigger than her other toes. What the hell are you talking? What are you on, man? There ain't nothing wrong with her, man. Nothing wrong with her.
All right, man. I'll let you guys have it. Demon Mike is done. Joe, people asking the question: does Dylan Harper start for the Spurs? You see, you asked the question earlier: is he going to win Rookie of the Year? You need to average about 25 to 27 minutes per game at least to win Rookie of the Year. Is he going to get that much playing time? He needs Vassell to go down with an injury to make that happen. We already have a $5 super chat coming in saying, hit that flip flop instead of a gun with a chancla. Our girl, Dew was mad. Dew was mad that she won the baddie brackets that he made. Again, everyone was doing the baddie brackets with us back in the day. And the fact of the matter was, it was based on 2024, 2025, not based on what they looked like in 97. That's why it was tainted.
I got to talk with Chica to see if it's okay if we bring back the baddie brackets.
Oh, she will kill that in a heartbeat. But
no,
okay.
Come on. Hey, we'll let her be involved. She can help us pick out the baddies.
That's funny, dude.
All right, we're going to give you the chunk because you paid for it. The flip-flopper.
Jason Garcia. Can I get a cup of that pool water?
I said, I wouldn't mind having some myself. I was like, damn.
Very nice.
Selma looking good. I don't know what you're talking about, Mike. But, I was going to ask you the question as we start, bringing the show to a close here. I'm going to present this to you. And as I had brought it up earlier in the show, should the NBA have a shortened season because of the injuries that said players have, and you have some high-level players that have gone out with injury in the playoffs, and you need your best players to propel you past what's happening as you move in the first and go into the second round. You need your best players playing at a high level in order for you to give your team the best chances of winning. Now, 82 games is a gamut of a season. We know that. It's steeped in tradition. I get that. And, the NBA, the owners, they're all greedy in a sort because they want to go ahead and make the most amount of revenue. Selling, let's say, the 82-game package, whether it be to various networks, whether it be the ESPNs, at the point in time it was TNT, showing it on ABC and whatnot, even locally. It's a lot of money. It's a big business. You have to go ahead and be able to buy the rights to show these games, and everybody loves watching sports. At the end of the day, at what price is it worth the health of your players? That's what I'm kind of getting at. 82 games, okay. You can't load manage said player because people pay tickets to go see them, and then they're sitting on the bench. It kind of ruins the experience for the fan. What do you think? Should the season be shortened for the longevity of players when it comes to the playoffs? What needs to happen?
I am 48 years old. I'm born in 1977. The rule of, or the number of games of 82 games started 10 years before I was born. Okay? 1967 is when the NBA instituted an 82-game season. Prior to that, it was 66 games. Why suddenly it's broken? It's been 58 years. Suddenly it's broken. These are guys that have top trainers, have people who cook for them. They have the best medicine. They fly in first class. They're not flying coach on Pan Am Airlines like back in the 70s.
Yeah.
They're flying in luxury jetliners that are owned by the team. Dude, soft. Every single one of them, soft.
They don't make them like they used to no more?
They don't, man. Now, I know that the game is faster and more above the rim than in years past.
Yeah.
And players get better and they get faster and things like that. But it's soft. It's soft. And all you got to do to win an award or be named first team All-NBA or whatever is 65 games. And if you can't play 65 out of 82, then you shouldn't be earning the money that you get because these basketball players make a crap ton of money. Giannis making $60-some-odd million a year, right? So you're telling me that he wants to play 60 games, so he's going to get paid $1 million a game? He's going to get paid $250,000 a quarter? Get the F out of here, dude. You don't lower the game. Baseball's at 162 games when it used to be 154. Right?
One of the things that I've heard that alludes to player injury or the advent of, let's say, said players getting injured now are the cheap ass shoes that these players are wearing, right? They get an endorsement by Nike or whatever, shoe company there is out there. But nowadays, the shoes, if you look at them, they're just like basically they feel like they're gonna fall apart in your hand. They're all
Dude,
made of foam, dude, and I mean
back in
rubber. I mean, come on, bro.
back in the day, you and I could tell the difference between a good shoe and a bad shoe. We would
Of
take a look.
course.
We go to Payless, right? Go to
Pro
the Payless,
wings.
Payless Pro Wings, the British Knights, right? We would take a look
Oh,
at those shoes,
capas.
capas with the triangles, and then we would look at like these other shoes by
The,
like the Jordans and the Reeboks,
the
and
Reeboks, yeah.
there was a difference between the two. You go get some cheap ass shoes right now, and the most expensive shoes. There ain't no difference whatsoever. By the way, I've been Chica has changed my clothing,
Your shoe game.
my shoe game. She believes in getting new running shoes every month, dude.
Oh man.
Every month she comes by and throws shoes at me. Goes, I got you some shoes. So it's like I don't know, like in February she goes, here I got you some on clouds. I think they look good on you. And then March, there's some on clouds. I know she don't have any Hokas, and she just keeps blessing me with a pair of running shoes. She's like, you're supposed to have 12 pairs by the end of the year. I'm like,
Damn.
what is this? But Chica taking care of her brother. But I like this comment that was on here, Jesse A, saying Harrison Barnes played 82 games because Corollas, they run forever.
On bald tires and everything, bro. Still get you home. The Toyota Corolla get you home, bro, no matter what. And that's what Harrison Barnes is. But I'm just saying, some comments have been made, and you look at the players' shoes, and you can tell they're uncomfortable. Case in point, the Wemby Alien, right? The Nike Alien edition shoe that he has coming out. I've heard through the chatter that this shoe is uncomfortable as F. I think Elias has a pair of them, and he said he had to change out the insoles just so they could be wearable. It's like they're not built for function. They're built for look, and they're putting these things on their feet and they're getting Achilles injuries, ankle injuries, all sorts of injuries. And everybody's all, let's look at the kicks. Let's see what they're wearing. But these shoes are freaking ass, dude. Like it's not the same anymore. They're light. And in order to get so light, they have to be made out of plastic, basically. You light a match to those things, they're going to go up in flames. We got another incoming super chat here from Jason Garcia.
Yeah,
He says,
go ahead.
no, he's saying, Joe, we need to have a back in the day counter for Mike. This is his favorite face.
Yeah,
His phrase here, back in the day.
So Mike with Bear County Social Apparel said that back in my San Antonio Sports Star days, and he had a sweatshirt that he made me for it. It said, what was the word? What was the phrase that was on there? Fact of the matter is, or here's the thing.
Yeah.
Those were my comments. I say okay a lot. I say your name. I say, hey, Joe. I say your name. That's more of a nervous tick than anything else.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of funny. It's kind of a trip that you and I do this show, Joe, because here's the thing. You and I plan this show out 12 seconds in advance. Like when you see the timer, go on. So if you want to know what Joe and I do, there's no phone calls before the show. There's no text messages. There's no nothing. There's me plugging into the computer and going, hey, okay, good morning, Joe. And Joe goes, what do you want to talk about? I'll mention a couple things. I'll say, like I told you today, I said, hey, Jonathan Gavani has a Dylan Harper video, if we can get that. Cool. All right. What do you want to talk about? Cowboys? Cool. Let's go. And then the show starts. And it used to be where I used to always plan things out. But now we just go with it, dude. We just go with it. And it's a fun time. And it's been a pleasure doing this podcast. The super chats, Joe reinvests them into stuff to make the show better. We don't pocket that. We have the way that I make money off of this is that, believe it or not, some of the people who listen to this show, guess what? They become my clients. They reach out to me and say, hey, I need help with auto insurance. I need help with an IRA or a 401k or whatever the case, life insurance or whatever. They they do that, and this is also my ability, as Chica says, my ability to get the words out of my mouth because she says you have a lot of useless facts. And I'm like, well, they're useless to you because you're not a sports fan, but I got to talk to you about this. By the way, last night, I was watching a movie last night. She was like, put something on. So I sit down, and her son sits down on the couch, also on the other couch. And I turned on the movie True Lies with
Oh yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Arnold, Jamie Lee Curtis, and all that stuff. And they're like, this is so stupid. And 30 minutes into the movie, they're still watching. They're still
watching it. Yeah, man. Jamie Lee Curtis was a nugget in that film, dude.
Oh, who was the other girl? The one from Wayne's World.
Oh, Tia, what's her name?
Tia Carrere.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, dude. She's now in her 60s now. She's now in her 60s, man.
She can still sing, though. She just sang the national anthem. I don't know if it was this season.
That's right.
Was it last year? She sang it, dude. She still got pipes.
I saw her on, I want to say it was Conan O'Brien recently, and they had her sing Ballroom Blitz.
Oh.
from Wayne's World, which was a remake of another song, right? It was like their rendition of Ballroom Blitz.
Yeah, I remember that. From Wayne's World. Wayne's World came out the other day. I forgot where I saw it. I think it might have been on Pluto TV or something. You know how they always play those old movies? And I was watching. It's still funny, dude.
Pluto TV is so great, man. Pluto TV, if you have the ability to stomach about 20 minutes of commercials, you can watch any movie for free. I mean, they have a library that is better than Netflix and Hulu and Amazon. It's just it comes with a commercial. By the way, Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, dude, they don't die, dude. It's so funny. His career is amazing.
One of the not the worst, but one of the movies that I remember watching it's so bad it's good is Commando. Remember when he had his daughter was Alyssa Milano and she gets abducted and he has to go through all this to go get her back and he's fighting this dude wearing chainmail and crap at the end. I'm like, what the hell's going on? What's happening, man? It's one of those movies, and it's an 80s action flick, and the music is so stupid, dude.
We were mentioning Wayne's World. Mike Myers is going to be part of the Diddy trial somehow or another. He's implicated in something.
Did you hear what's going on with the Diddler, dude? They went ahead and got his old girlfriend up there on the stage, and she's very pregnant right now.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff she was saying that he made her do, this dude's a freak, man. The Diddler, man, he's going away for life, dude. I doubt that he's going to go ahead and even get to the prison cell. I don't know if he's going to make it. I don't know if he's going to live through this, bro. I think they're going to find him died somewhere.
Oh, I know. He'll be swinging someplace because he already looks old, man. He already looks like he's aged 30 years since he's been out there. I like this comment from Mexican Jr. Sally Field was hot and Smokey and the Bandit. Where the hell did that come from?
Hey, he's not lying, dude. She was hot in that movie, man.
I'm looking it up because I remember that being true. I mean,
she was, dude.
It's
remember her as Gidget from back in the day? That little beach. It was a beach series that she did, and her name was Gidget.
My favorite blooper of Smokey and the Bandit is Burt Reynolds when Burt Reynolds forgets his line, and then she says that line to him, and he's trying to riff off of it, and she goes, "That's your line." He goes, "Oh," and he goes, "Say it." She goes, "Say it," and they're going back and forth like he got confused by it all, and he goes, "No, we're just going, baby. Let's just go with this. Just riff with this." And he wanted to ad-lib like a whole scene, and she was wanting to sing the script. It's so funny, man. A Mexican Jew saying Commando is awesome. Time for you to blow off some steam. Time for you to blow off some steam. When he's in True Lies, when he's hovering over the skyscraper and he shoots the terrorist who's attached to a missile.
Oh God!
He shoots him through the building and he goes, "You're fired."
Was Arnold like the best at the one-liners in his movies?
He was. There's a scene at the end of the movie of True Lies where the family is back together and the phone call is about to come on and Boris and Doris, I think is their code name.
Yeah.
But before that, they're playing like a board game or something, and Arnold laughs at his daughter, and the look that he gave was the most evil, ugly looking laugh I've ever seen in my entire life. I was like, what the hell is this? But good times, man. Good times. Good
Yeah.
times was something that I used to always say at Sports Star, and the people who used to do the coaching
Yeah.
out of California and Oregon, they would say, Jimenez, you got to cut down your good times like 3 or 4 times. At least cut it in half. So, but no, I can say good times as many times as I want. I can say Joe, as many
Yep.
times as I want on this.
You know what I was going to tell you, Mike? I think what we need to do is we need to go ahead and have a poll, right? We need to have like a almost like a tourney, right? For some of the best 80s action films, right? We put them together in the tourney and we get down to the final four. You
Now,
know?
do we do this by division? Like we narrow down Arnold's four, um,
Sly,
Stallone's four, Bruce Willis's four.
right? That might be something, man. I think we're onto something here. We should do that, especially, we have our fan bases of a certain age and
Mhm.
everybody has watched said films. So why not gonna do a tourney about it, Because you do have like Terminator. You can put Predator, Conan, the
Yeah,
Barbarian. I mean,
that'd be cool,
Commando. You know what I
dude.
mean?
Dude, I don't think I mentioned this on the show yesterday. I'm pretty sure I haven't mentioned it this week. This weekend, Chica is weird like me because I didn't watch movies growing up. She only listens to certain types of music. She only listens to R&B and country. Rock music, she does not listen to any of it, Joe.
Not the hair
No
metal,
rock, no hair metal, no grunge, no new metal, no
no rat, no
alternative,
poison,
nothing.
jackal.
So she makes fun of me because we start driving down the street. We drive from San Antonio to Houston, Houston, San Antonio, back and forth, back and forth. And if I drive, I put on my Spotify, and she looks at me and she goes, "Man, Michael, you like way too much music, like too many different genres of music." She
Yeah.
wants to hear Keith Sweat like 24/7, right? Like R. Kelly,
What about Luther
R&B,
Vandross? Skinny Luther or Fat Luther?
Luther, SWV, TLC. She's all about that, right? Babyface, all that. I'll bounce around from genre to genre. So I'm playing a song, and she's like listening to the lyrics of this one song, and she goes, "Huh, that was a very like strong song. It was a song by Linkin Park." So there I am in the year of, as Mike Taylor would say, the year of our Lord 2025, introducing Chica to Linkin Park,
She
right?
like it?
She thought it was interesting. So I play a different song. She goes, "Man, this guy is like in pain. What's the next song?" And the next song. So we listened to like 5 songs: "Breaking the Habit," "In the End," "Numb." We're listening to all these different songs. And she goes, "Michael, these songs are all cries for help. Is he okay?" It's like he
He
committed
got died.
suicide. He committed suicide about a decade ago. She's like, "No shit. He was over here crying the entire time, and now I can't listen to Linkin Park without thinking these are all cries for help." Because in the end, it doesn't even matter. You
Chica,
know.
man. She
You
ruins
know.
everything, dude. She's like, is he okay? No, he got died,
He
dude.
got died.
God, she ruins even the films. We're watching our films. Was it that one Full Metal Jacket? And she's
Oh yeah,
like,
she ruined Full Metal Jacket, and she kind of ruined it for Fernandez because Fernandez retired Marine Corps. When we're talking about it because I showed her, she's like, "Show me a classic movie that everyone's watched but I haven't watched." And I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm dating the hot female version of myself." So I put on Full Metal Jacket, and at the end of the whole first act of it all, when when Joker goes off and or Pyle rather goes off and kills the sergeant, she goes, "I cannot believe they treated a special needs guy that way." And
jeez.
I was like, "What?" And she goes, "He's obviously special needs." I'm like, "No, no, no. He's just a klutz. He's just a dumbass." She's like, "No, Michael. He's special needs. That's why he was the way that he was, and it drove him over the edge." And now I can't watch the movie. And I told that to Fernandez, and Fernandez was like, "Well, yeah." And then like it dawned on him that they put the soap on the towel, were beating the
Beat
living
the hell
shit,
out of him.
beating the living crap out of a guy that's special needs. So she's ruined it. She ruined Forgetting Sarah Marshall for me, Joe.
God,
Oh
man.
my god. She goes, "This is a complete guy movie." She ruined Forgetting Sarah Marshall because of the one scene where uh, the main character can't perform with his ex girlfriend because he's always wanted to get back with her, but he's already dating this other girl, and then
Yeah.
he's fooling around with her for like about 10, 15, 20 seconds, and then he backs off, and then they get back together ultimately right at the end of the movie. She was like, Michael, okay, girl's perspective. I fool around with another guy for 20 seconds after we've been dating for a while, and I tell you you tell me your feelings. You gonna take me back? And she goes, and the way that she phrased it a lot differently than that, a little bit more crude. But yeah, Chica got me going. I was like, she goes, that's a stupid ass movie, Michael.
The pile special. It says needed a soap bar ass whooping.
I'll especially needed. Jonathan C. asking if I saw Get Into the Greek. Yeah, when you start tripping, you rub the furry walls. I can't watch it anymore because that's P. Diddy, dude. I can't watch it. Dude, man. P. Diddy, the first day of the testimony where they were saying that he stood in the corner and forced his girlfriend Cassie to have guys pee in her mouth against her will. Dude, I would kill P. Diddy myself. There's some people who don't deserve to be on this world, and he's one of them, dude. Yeah. And if we find, and I can't listen to his music, man. Like R. Kelly. I mean, if our Bump and Grind comes on, I might listen to.
Who was the worst, R. Kelly or P. Diddy?
P. Diddy by far.
Who deserves? What level of hell do they deserve to burn in, Mike?
Special levels of hell. I was listening. I was listening to Bobby Brown while driving. It was that song "Humping Around." Ain't nobody humping around. And then Chica looks at me and goes, "Well, because he was doing that, Whitney offed herself."
Jeez, bro. Wow. Yeah, man. But listen,
when we have our get-togethers and Chica goes. You're gonna see, man. She don't play, dude. She's funny, man. She's brutally honest.
No, Chica's a lot of fun. She always wants to like make sure everybody's doing okay. She goes around everywhere and hangs out with everybody. And before you know it, like I'll be standing at the bar getting a drink, and all of a sudden she's just right next to me. I'm just there standing waiting for my drink. She's like, "Hey, what's up?" I'm like, "Oh, where did you come from?"
Remember when that girl wanted to fight her at the
bathroom?
our party in the bathroom?
What happened, dude? It was just like, I mean, she told us what happened, but I was just like, what? You all went to the bathroom? You come back?
Chica's going to the bathroom. A girl goes after her. Chica's friend, who happened to come with us to the event. Yeah. This was our celebrating 2,000 subscribers. That girl goes and follows. Her friend follows Chica into the restroom because she had an idea that other girl wanted to like fight her, and she breaks it up. Now they weren't throwing down, but she gets in the way and goes, "Go away from her! Get away from her!" And then this girl starts jawing at Chica, and Chica is oblivious to it all. She's like, "What? Like, what do you? Like, why are you yelling at me? What's going on?" And then finally, the girl comes up to me and says, it was a gay couple, lesbian couple. And she goes, "My girlfriend was checking your girlfriend out and it pissed me off." And I was like, well, what does that have to do with her? Go get mad at your chick. Don't get mad at Chica. Chica literally went from our table to the restroom, didn't stop and say hi, didn't smile, didn't do anything. Just walked to the restroom and almost got into a fight because that other girl was checking her out and her girlfriend got pissed.
Oh, look, we have an incoming super chat from Jason Garcia. Reference to the diddler. He says, the U.S. government goes after you if you have oil. Iraq, Kuwait, Diddy. Because they're referring to the baby oil.
Baby oil.
God, can you imagine? What did they find on those hard drives, on all those, computers and laptops and stuff, thumb drives that they pulled from the Diddy compound, dude? We'll probably never see the light of day, but I bet it was very incriminating for him.
Imagine being Diddy and having to watch videos of the freak offs in public
Oh,
because they're going to show them in the
they have
court.
to, man. They have to. It's evidence. You know the stupid thing is that they gave him a plea deal, right? I guess if he had pleaded guilty to some of these offenses, maybe he would have been eligible for parole in 30 years or something, 30, 40 years. But now, because he turned down that plea deal, they're going after him, dude. He ain't going to sniff the light of day probably for the rest of his life. He's going to be in prison more than likely for life, for the rest of his life, even if it's 30 years, something like that. I mean, how old is he now? I mean, the life expectancy for someone of Diddy's caliber when you're in some type of a prison here, it doesn't bode well for him.
How old is P. Diddy? He's got to be at least 60, right?
He's got to, and you putting him in there for 30 years. I mean, he can get died in prison, bro.
Sean Combs, born in 1969, so he's 56.
30 years, he's going to be
55.
almost 90.
He's 55.
Okay, he's going to be almost 90 by the time he's going to be getting out. He's going to be died, dude.
Mario Kavas asking the question: does Chica know you call her Chica, or do you call her do I call that for short because you forgot her real name? Oh well, shh. She wants it to be known as just Chica.
Chica, okay.
FYI, yeah, it's one of those things where she's like, I've said her name before, but anyway, she would much rather it be known as her being Chica.
Chica, okay.
Because she doesn't want I don't know, certain things to happen or whatever, and you never know who's listening or watching or whatever the case may be. So,
but I do like to church her name up. I church her name up though when I say it. When I see her in person, and she's like, "Oh yeah, say my name that way." I said, "I don't know, I just like the way it sounds."
What's so funny is that we had an Uber driver earlier this week who had the same name, and it was so funny because I was in the car with two people who have the same name, which are very uncommon. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
JHNSB saying Mike, she doesn't want to fame the fame that comes with being Mike's girlfriend. Oh God, dude. If I ever bring up the podcast to her, other than, hey, let's go have a party and go drink, that she's happy with. But if I ever bring up the podcast for her, she glazes over and does one of these, and she goes, I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah, she don't care.
We could have, like, I didn't tell her that we had 1,000 watchers yesterday because she wouldn't give two shits.
No, she wouldn't. She just wants to have fun. Like, if we hang out, she's like, let's go drink. Let's listen to music.
Well, she's been texting me throughout the whole show about, like, hey, what are we doing? What are our plans for the rest of the summer? How much money do we need to save and all that stuff? And I'm like, I will text you after the show. But it's funny because I can see what she's asking because she likes to budget. And she basically says, I need to know how many days I need to work. I need to know how much money you need to make in order for us to live the life that we want to live and do the things that we want to go to. She's like, are there any concerts that we're going to? Are there any, what are we doing? And we live within those means. We have good means, but we live within them. Yeah. But very nice. But again, my number is 210-508-0369, 210-508-0369. Text me, call me if you have any needs for insurance or investments, 210-508-0369. If you don't like your agent, you want a new agent, or if you got your auto or homeowner's insurance through your online, you can, for free, attach an agent to it. Give me a call, 210-508-0369.
Mike will sell you anything from insurance as long as it doesn't start with an F.
Yes, no Farmers, no State Farm, no Farm Bureau. Everybody else I pretty much have. So very, very cool. Everyone have a fantastic day. Again, we learned today that Dylan Harper has an awkward-looking three-point shot, but they go in. We got to see some video of Ace Bailey. We had a good old debate about the Cowboys taking on the Chiefs on Thanksgiving Day. Salma Hayek still a baddie at 58. Chris Leha, if you follow him on Twitter from MCS General Contracting, he posted all the photos. So you don't have to go search him. Just go find Chris Leha on social media, and he has them all on his page. Everyone have a fantastic day. Hit the like button on the way out. Share what we do. And Joe, most importantly, and those watching, most importantly, Spurs in 5.
We'll see you boys tomorrow. Peace.